Assalamualaikum. My name is Hasanuddin bin Hussain. My matrix number is S5168. Today we want to discuss about two situations. Okay, the first situation is the Ali, the young of the three siblings, has been offered to study at the University Malaysia Terengganu. His two older sister, Amina and Alia, promised to provide allowance for him at RM500 monthly, on the condition that the mother transfer some land to both of them. The mother agreed and transferred the land to Amina and Alia, both of them. However, both of them failed to fulfill the promise and Ali sued them for the promise. Advise Amina and Alia. So in this situation, the issue is whether Ali can sue her older sister Amina and Alia because not pay allowance for him RM500 monthly. Based on this situation, the law we can relate is Section 2D of Contract Act 1950. This is because Section 2D of Contract Act 1950 is when, at the desire of the promiser, the promise or any another person has done or abstain from doing a promise to do or abstain from doing something such act or abstain or promise is called the consideration of the promise. Basically, consideration refer to the price paid by the one party to another in order to obtain the other consent to the agreement. Consideration need to be from the money. It may be in from the act done or even an abstinence or forbiddance from doing something. Another law that can be related is the Section 2D Contract Act 1950. Section 26 of Contract Act 1950 states the agreement without consideration is void. Consideration is something valued to either promise or promiser that is usually cash or property which will be exchanged between the promise and the promiser as the performance. For the contract to be legal binding, the consideration must be something that the promise is giving up or something that give benefit for the promise. We can see the example of the case. For example of the case like Venkata Vinakaya versus Verikatamaya in 1881. A sister agreed to pay an annuity RM 653 to her brother who provide no consideration for the promise, but on the same day, the mother had given the sister some land, stipulating that she must pay the annuity to the brother. When the sister subsequently failed to fulfill her promise to pay the annuity, her brother sued her on the promise. The court ruled that she was liable on the promise on ground that they are a valid consideration for the promise, even though it did not move from the brother. So the application of the situation this is according to the Section 2D of the Contract 1950 and Section 26 Contract Act 1950. Also the case Venkata Chinaya versus Verikatamaya 1881 state that when one is given in return for something else, it clearly indicates that the consideration is met. The agreement is valid. In this case, the contract between Ali and her sister Amina and Alia is valid. This is because consideration has been moved from Ali as a promiser to his mother. Although Ali did not make the consideration, the contract was valid because his mother had made the consideration for Ali. Thus, Ali could be entitled to claim RM500 a monthly from her sister Amina and Alia as her mother had agreement to transfer a land. So, the conclusion for this situation, Ali is able to claim RM 500 ringgit from her sister when they cannot pay the promised allowance. This is because the contract made by Ali and her sister is valid. Okay, the second station is Lily sometimes suffers from mental disorder, which causes her easily to hallucinate and unable to think rationally. One day, she entered into the agreement with ABC Ltd to sell her 10-story office building for RM 1.5 million. The current market of the property is 15 million. A week later, she realized that she would suffer loss due to the contract. She wished to know whether she could challenge the validity of the contract. So, the issue in this station is whether Lily can challenge the legitimacy of the contract by the reason of her once in a while mental condition. The law can be related to the situation is the Section 11 of the Contract Act 1950. Section 11 of the Contract Act 1950 provides that every person in complement to contract who is of the age of majority according to the law to which he is subject, and who is of the sound mind and is not disqualified from the contracting by any law to which he is subject. It means that the person who enter into the contract must have the fulfilled capacity in term of age and sound mind. Another law can be related to the station is the Section 12 of Contract Act 1950. Section 12(1) of the Contract Act 1950 provides that a person is said to be of sound mind for the purpose of making a contract if at the time when he makes it is capable of understanding it and of performing a rational judgment as to its effect upon his interesting. As a result, the agreement is valid. And in Section 12(2), a person who is usually of unsound mind but occasionally of the sound mind may make a contract when he is of sound mind. By Section 12(3), a person who is usually of sound mind but occasionally of unsound mind may not take a contract when he is of unsound mind. Okay, so the case we can be related to the station is the Imperial Loan Co. Ltd. versus Stone in 1862. When a person enter into a contract, afterward alleges that he has so insane at the time that he did not what he was doing, and provide the allegation the contract is binding upon him, a very respect whether it is executory or execute as if he had been sent when he made it, unless he can provide future that the person will whom he contract knew him to be so insane as not to be capable of understanding what it was about. The decision of Imperial Loan Co. versus Stone show that if a person of unsound mind wish to make a contract void, he need to provide both conditions in Section 12 first. Fail to provide the both conditions in the section will make the condition binding as if he was of sound mind at the time it was made. A fail to provide that he said person is of unsound mind will mean that the contract is valid. The contract therefore cannot be make a void. So the application of the situation is the according to the Section 11 of the Contract Act 1950 in case of the Imperial Loan Co. Ltd. versus Stone in 1862 state that Lily has that ability to to contract legal. This is because Lily is able to contract because of full capability in terms of age and mind. In this case, sometimes Lily will suffer from the mental illness that causes her to be aware of the consequences of her action. This is because Lily sometimes suffers from the mental disorder which causes her easily to hallucinate and unable to think rationally. When Lily entered into a contract with ABC Ltd, she did not understand the term of the contract and he has been during the site of the agreement. Lily thus has the legal right to challenge the validity of the contract she has made. According to the Section 12 first of the contract at 1950 and the case of Imperial Loan County Ltd versus Stone in 1862 state that the contract Lily has made during her mental illness were not voidable. But if Lily is found to making the contract during an unsound mind, then the contract can be cancelled. When Lily signed the contract, she did not realize the impact she would have had when signed the contract because at that time Lily was in unsound mind. If Lily can provide that she is unsound mind when making the contract, then the contract can be void. So the conclusion for this situation is that Lily is able to challenge the validity of the contract if she is ability to provide that she made the contract under unsound mind.